and the journey a lot of people think is outwardly, and it's natural. It's natural because that's what you're taught.
Yeah,
that's how you're taught, and that's what young people. And again, for me, the podcast is primarily for younger people who are going on a journey.
For sure.
On an entrepreneurial journey, or on a journey to become an elite athlete, or a journey to become, the person who does the most amount of good in a charity, or whatever their journey is. And regardless, whether you're trying to become an athlete, or you're trying to become a super successful business person, or you're trying to build a career in a firm or a company, everyone's journey actually is internal first.
For sure.
And that's why we try to talk as much internally as possible. So I really like the fact that you personally have talked about how you don't like, for example, phones on TV. That's inherent in you. We are living in a very different generation. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But let's go back into, and again, I'm going to go back into The Apprentice, because I think otherwise we're going to talk a lot.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to all those different people and there's different personalities, everyone might not have actually agreed to what you've just said now.
Then they're wrong.
Yeah, okay. That's one way of doing
then they're wrong.
Right? So
there's right and wrong, and if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. No, funnily enough, you said about inwardly learning about yourself, is that that has been my thought process forever. I know right from wrong. I have a very strong moral compass. My dad always taught me that way. So when someone's wrong and they're trying to argue that they're right, like in a boardroom, I was dumbfounded. But you're wrong. It doesn't matter what you say, you're still wrong. And it's taken me a lot, actually, the last 5 years to go, okay, people have different truths. They're still wrong deep down. But what their truth in their mind is their truth. I just thought, there's a book called Surrounded by Idiots. Am I allowed to say that word?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
But there's a book called Surrounded by Idiots, and a friend of mine and a business mentor bought me it, because sometimes that's how I feel. Because I've got this way of how things should be done, and other people think differently, or they'll act in a backstabbing way, or they'll do this. And I'm like, but they're wrong. So I'm trying to read and better myself to be able to cope with those situations. I definitely have ADHD to some degree. I haven't been clinically diagnosed, but anybody with ADHD points me out a mile off. Every ADHD trait there is, I have. One of the traits that I didn't know is a strong issue with injustice. So I have a serious issue with injustice. So you're, like you said, when I was in the boardroom and things were going wrong, or I saw someone do something and they weren't supposed to, So now, as I've got older, I've realised, you know what, Khadija, you don't have to fight every battle. Every battle is not yours to fight. Sometimes it just has to play out destiny. Sometimes it just has to, I'd be a spokesperson for every, if somebody was rude to you outside just now, before you've said a word, I'm in. And that's how I've always been. Excuse me, that's not right. Who do you think you are? And then I thought, you don't always have to be that way, actually. Let other people have their power and their destiny. And sometimes you can just keep it quiet.
But that's an interesting thing, because obviously that's happened over a series of events, over a series of experiences that you've gone through, and also just a series of, you could say, reflections around how that makes you feel on a personal level. You know, I think a lot of people will relate to what you've just said there, because again, we do live in a world where we do think we are really, really important, as we do, right? That's normal, natural, and everybody, there's a lot of kind of scientific, and human behavioral kind of projects that kind of tell you that, look, and that's, ego is actually yourself, and that's something that's there naturally, right, with everyone. And so the internal journey is actually understanding your ego,
for sure, so that
you can control it, and almost turn it into a power.
100%. I love that.